The following are some principles I have written on selecting an SEO. If the customer stays with these guidelines, then they must avoid. In this video, we look at the best practices with SEOs. Principles, best practices and SEO. Ethics, finest practices, and SEO, a crisis in the profession? There has actually been much argument recently on the practice of ethical search engine optimization, SEO. The current elimination of a high-profile SEO business from the Google results has plunged the industry into yet another argument on what is ethical and what is not in our profession. I have been involved in the SEO market for a couple of years now, and the mention of the word ethics and finest practices in what is still an uncontrolled market creates a level of confusion that similarities that I have not observed in any other market. Why does this hesitation to talk about ethics and best practices exist? After all, we call ourselves professionals, and as professionals, we ought to aim to be part of a market that represents best practices and quality of service. The confusion seems to come from the manner in which search engines rank websites. Each search engine has an algorithm which is a complex approach to giving a worth to a site that will make sure that it is returned in the search results when an appropriate keyword is typed into a search engine. These algorithms are concealed by the online search engine for apparent factors. The SEO market is highly concentrated on evaluating these algorithms and using any knowledge gained to modify and rank sites. Ask any two SEOs what they consider to be ethical in their pursuit of top results and you will more than likely get two very various responses. For this reason, the absence of a contract on what is ethical and what is not. So where do we begin? Our dedication must constantly begin with the customer and our obligations to them. An ethical business will always show loyalty and regard to their customer. This is true whether they are SEO, an accountant, or a medical professional. Having sound company practices and a professional method for all that you do, then we can move on to the online search engine guidelines. All the major online search engine and directories publish their own guidelines of use for webmasters. This should be the minimum that any SEO specialist adheres to when dealing with a customer site. Online search engines have a right to safeguard the integrity of their results, and the SEO practitioners should appreciate those standards. The confusion appears to show up with the interpretation of the guidelines. One SEO will interpret the rules to imply one thing, and another SEO will see it as totally various. The stakes are high, and the top ranking in Google for your website is a powerful branding and can lead to a significant upswing in your organization. SEO professionals have been classified as white hat and black hat. White hat practitioners are the ones that try to stay with the search engine guidelines, while black hat operates using more doubtful strategies and sees the search engines as the enemy. Sadly, black hat techniques can sometimes negatively impact the website's ranking and, worse, get their customers' websites banned. Black hats typically play to the emotional requirements of their customers and frequently convince them to part with their cash without giving clear and specific information on the modifications they will make to their websites. If a client is completely aware of the risks and is prepared to buy into short-term gain, then that is their option. Nevertheless, lots of black hat SEOs do not divulge their tactics. Would you hire a CPA who submits your income tax return breaking and consisting of doubtful practices, all the IRS rules? You are the one who will get audited, prosecuted, and need to pay substantial fines. Black hat techniques are simply plain bad service practice. They also do the online search engine and the search users a substantial injustice by contributing to poor quality of outcomes. This includes absolutely nothing to the end user experience. The search engines say that any type of manipulation to get a website ranked is a threat to them and the relevance of their results. White hat specialists will say that they are not manipulating sites but rather repairing online search engine barriers within a website. The requirement for their services is excellent, as lots of website designers do not know how to incorporate search engine friendly styles. Last year, a prospective customer called me after being burned by a rogue SEO business that got their site, and others, banned from Google for spam tactics. A couple of weeks later, they were called by the very same rogue SEO company under a brand new name. Possibly naively, she practically succumbed to it once again. Once they would not do anything wrong again, she reasoned that if they had actually been banned. This shows the absence of understanding that consumers have concerning our industry. They do not know the difference between bad and excellent SEO. People are being benefited because of their absence of knowledge. No matter what strategies your SEO uses, ethical, white hat, black hat, none at all, everything boils down to one thing: doing right by the client. Principles are typically seen by many in the market as buzz. I believe the focus needs to be on serving users instead of controlling the search engines. SEOs who concentrate on making the websites the very best that they can be for the end user will create a far better longer-term effect. When there is an algorithm modification, the SEOs who go after algorithms and attempt to video game the search engines get burned. Following search engine updates, including an algorithm shift, the industry message boards abound with posts along the lines of "I dislike Google, they have eliminated my website." If these posters had actually spent more time enhancing their site for their customers and the search users, the algorithm updates would be much less demanding for them. At this time, there is no effort within the market to develop a trade body that sets a code of best practices. It is down to the consumer to practice buyer beware and make sure that they practice due diligence in selecting an SEO. They need to utilize a lot more caution than they would utilize to select any other vendor. I likewise think the industry has a responsibility to offer education and resources for customers and assist in demystify the profession. Great SEO companies share their understanding willingly. They conceal absolutely nothing from either customers or search engines. They understand that they have actually a specialized ability and take pride in what they do. They get their outcomes through effort and determination. They also know that to do the task effectively takes a lot of time. This is something that most business owners feel they do not have. They are positive that when it comes to working with a professional, their open and truthful approach to their trade will be acknowledged by companies who only wish to work with the best. The following are some principles I have written on selecting an SEO. If the customer stays with these guidelines, then they must avoid the practitioners in our industry who provide the rest people with a bad name. Only work with a business that follows search engine guidelines. If I might just make one recommendation, this would be it. The three primary search engines are Google, MSN, and Yahoo. Look on their sites for their web designer standards. Only deal with a business that records the SEO procedure they will use to rank your site. Only deal with a company that offers a composed agreement detailing their process and their costs. Get at least 4 proposals for your website, and compare services before you make a decision. Do not work with a business that uses warranties of top rankings. Nobody can offer these types of assurances. Do not lock yourself into a contract. You cannot leave if you are not getting outcomes. Ask for referrals and follow up with them. If you still have any doubts, ask for more. Ensure that referrals check out. Check that the suggested site is real and that the contact information offered has a look versus the contact information on the site. Do not allow any work to be performed on your site without your approval. Do not give the SEO carte blanche to do as they will with your website. It is your site, not theirs. It is your obligation to guarantee that the SEO does not apply any strategies that would lead to getting your website banned. Check the Business, BBB, Better Business Bureau, report. Look for membership of any other established trade bodies, such as the AMA, American Marketing Association. Many businesses declare that they are more respectable because they are part of SEMPO, Search Engine Marketing Professional Organization. This is not the case. All that is needed to be a member of SEMPO is a $299 yearly subscription. Do not deal with a company that participates in site large link exchanges. Concern about their linking approaches. Ensure that they only have a policy of linking with on-topic websites. Remember, your site is constructed for users, not for online search engines. If your website has to do with computer systems, and you're linked to a website that offers kids' toys, how useful do you believe that link will be for your visitors? Ask other companies doing well on the internet who they utilize for SEO. Constantly inquire about the quality of client service that is used. It is very little usage, having a terrific SEO if you can never get hold of them. If it sounds too good to be real, it is. In conclusion, the SEO market is a vibrant growing industry. This rapid development has created some challenges for the market. One of these obstacles is the perception that outsiders have of SEO specialists being dishonest. To neutralize this, many SEOs are now promoting themselves as ethical SEO. As the market is uncontrolled, it is up to the customer of the service to become informed and exercise care when choosing an SEO supplier. As the need for SEO continues to grow, the variety of unethical specialists calling themselves SEOs will also grow. To safeguard yourself, take the supplier choice procedure seriously. Look for suppliers who are willing to share understanding and partner with you to provide the best possible result for your organization. One SEO will analyze the guidelines to suggest one thing, and another SEO will see it as completely different. Last year, a potential consumer contacted us after being burned by a rogue SEO company who got their site and others prohibited from Google for spam techniques. Do not give the SEO carte blanche to do as they will with your site. It is your responsibility to ensure that the SEO does not use any methods that would result in getting your site banned. As the demand for SEO continues to grow, the number of dishonest practitioners calling themselves SEOs will also grow. Thank you for watching this video to the end. We hope it gave you a good understanding of how SEO works. See you in the next video.